Hello and welcome to the Enlightenment Exchange.
Mhm.
If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe. We are glad you are with us for real. Enjoying this. I enjoy these Wednesdays very much. So,
Yep.
anybody that hangs around and listens, we enjoy you too. Anyway, so we're going to get right to it. We're going to try to keep it like usual to the 40 minutes so we don't take up your whole day. And I see a listener has jumped on right away. I wonder if it's our favorite listener. Um, we'll find out, I'm sure. Anyway, so we're going to start right off the top of the bat with the Joy Initiative. That is the initiative this year. I think we're going to do it probably all the way through to the end of the year. I mean, why not?
Right.
Like
Why not? Yep.
the end of the year is the season of joy. So let's start building that joy so that we have it kind of swirling around us when we get to December and the holidays. That would be really good. But I think that the more we can embrace joy right now in these times, the more love we can find in our lives, the more fear we can walk away from. So
Mm.
joy is just really important. So today we're going to talk about creativity. Creativity is joy in motion. I just love that saying.
I do too. That it
Um,
really ties it down to the here and now.
right? And and the thing about creativity is this. So many people put pressure on themselves about creativity.
Hmm.
I need to create something. I need to create something to hang up or to put on the shelf. Something beautiful, something perfect. But that is not what creativity is about.
Yeah. It's about
There
expression.
she is. Covey's back. Hey, Covey. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, it's really good to I was gonna say good to see you, but whatever it is. I mean good to see that you're here. How about that?
Yeah.
Anyway, um I think it's one of the places that we put really undue pressure on ourselves,
Right.
creativity.
Right. They think
Everything's
a lot
gotta
of people
be
think you have to
perfect.
be good at something.
And you really don't.
Yep.
Um it's interesting because there's so many things I do that are creative, and I really believe we are constantly creating, right? In my study of the chakra system, we talk about the sacral chakra, which is all about like creativity and the sweetness of life. And the truth is, people think, well, I don't have a creative bone in my body, but every single person is creating almost every minute of the day, right? We
Hmm.
create relationships, we create the output of work in our jobs, we create our meals, we create other lives, if we're
Hmm.
parents. We create. We're always creating. But we don't give ourselves credit for that,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so I have to tell you, I love like creative, like silly creative things. One of the things, one time I had, okay, slow down. So much going on in my head. I was working with this psychic. She was a psychic. She used to do these psychic classes. They were very fun. And she used picture books from the thrift store where
Oh,
she
cool.
cut out pictures
Yep.
for people to hold on their heads so that everybody in the room would send them,
Oh.
telepathically information about the picture, and then the
Oh,
person with the
nice.
picture would have to give the impressions they got of what was
Yep.
coming to them. And it was a really great way to do the exercise. It was a lot of fun. If I could figure out how to do it on Zoom, I might. Anyway, she had all these books that were so left over, like picked through and cut out and whatever. And she asked me if I wanted them, which, if anybody knows me, scissors and paper. There's always scissors. So what I did was I took the book and I cut out shapes from the leftovers from the leftovers that were there.
Yep.
Not really cutting out pictures or anything, but just cutting out shapes that had interesting patterns on them from the pictures
Mm.
themselves. And then I put them all out on the table and I laid them out and I arranged them and I took photos of them. And I probably sat doing that, creating that stuff for well over an hour. And it was just so engaging and so
Hmm.
much fun that when I was finished, I was like, "Wow, this was amazing!" And it didn't amount to anything. I didn't.
Hmm.
I never printed them or framed them. or anything. And I mean, really, I wound up throwing, the leftover stuff in the recycle bin, but
Right, right.
it got reused and I had a lot of fun and it was great. And it was just creativity. Like, can you think of examples that are kind of like that, found
Yeah,
objects or
yep. I have another example similar along the same lane, some same vein. So there's an author from a number of years ago named Kurt Vonnegut, and
oh yeah.
it's either he was either teaching or he was helping someone else who was a teacher. But he said, "Okay, class, I want you all to sit down and I want you to write something, write a short story, a paragraph, a poem." And he says, "And I want you to do it right now." And they do. And he says, "Okay, now I want you to read it to yourself and never show anyone. This is for you." And I was like,
Wow. I mean, amazing, right?
yeah. I thought, wow, what a great opportunity to not have to make it perfect or make it like a showpiece. This is for you. You just created something.
But why does it have to be perfect to be a showpiece?
That's where people get hung up, and he was trying to
Right?
show them not to worry about that.
Right. But why not show it to other people? I mean, I agree with you. I'm not trying to knock what he's saying.
Right.
But I think, wow, empower yourself to put your words down on the paper,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then show everyone, look, this is something I created. I
Yep.
think it's
Yep.
amazing.
I
Whether
think that's
you
the
like it
logical
or
next step. I think
right?
that's the logical next step. I agree with that. Yep.
Right? So anyway, so I mean that's kind of what we're talking about when it comes to creativity. It's oh, that's the wrong one. Here it is. It's not about being an artist, it's about giving your energy somewhere to play, right?
That
And
is
the
just
truth
the
is,
best vision of what creativity is.
I don't know ever if I've had something in my mind that I was going to make or create or put together or whatever that actually came out in real life the way it looked in my head. And so, what, way back when, if it didn't come out what I saw in my head, if it didn't come out that way, then it was garbage, like
Yeah.
no good.
I
And then,
that,
right?
yeah, that reminds me there's a Facebook post um of like specialized cakes, what it's supposed to look like and how it actually turned out.
Oh
They're
man, the lamb
absolutely
cake is a good
hysterical,
one.
right? The
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse, on the picture, and then their version of it's gonna like droopy ears, and
hilarious.
it's
I mean, they
hilarious.
are so funny, and it's like nailed it,
Yep, yep,
right?
yep. But
I love
I
it.
think that's kind of fun because what actually happened after they made that cake? Everybody laughed and they ate it. You know?
Right? Like what,
Yeah,
but a lot of people, the people that are so hard on themselves and
yeah,
so attached or paralyzed by perfection are the ones that would say, "Oh no, this is no good."
yep.
Me, I would be like, "Look, well, look," I mean, I would be like, "Let me just set this down right in front of you and go,
Right.
nailed it,
Nailed it. Yep.
nailed it."
I can totally
Okay,
see that happening, Angie. That would be the best. You got to invite me to one of those, okay?
you got it. If I ever do, I mean, I actually have a family member who is really, really good at throwing the box for the cake mix in the trash
No,
before the cake is all mixed, and
no.
have to, uh, you know, pull it back out numerous times. So she
Yep.
made this cake. It was a confetti cake, one of those confetti
Oh yeah.
things, funfetti or whatever it's
Yep.
called.
Yep.
And I'm like, the cake, it's like a cookie or something. What's the deal with this cake? She says, I really don't know what happened to it. I said, well, what did you put in it? The cake mix, eggs, and oil. I said, what about the water? She said, no, I didn't put any water in it. There was no water. I said, I'm pretty sure there was water. Sure enough, she pulled it out of the trash again, and there was, you know, two-thirds of a cup
Oh,
of water. And I was like, well, without the water, you're gonna get a cookie. It was
it's been
terrible.
a little
There was
chewy.
no saving that cake. That
I
one
was
really didn't. I mean, it was like bust your teeth, bust your teeth type. Anyway, okay, so this is the Joy Initiative. We are encouraging you each week to take on a little exercise from whatever we come up with. So for creative magic, we are just inviting you to do one small creative thing. I would try to do it once a day, but if you can only do it once or twice a week, do you. But I mean something simple. Rearrange a shelf and make it look more pleasing to your eye, or doodle in the margins of something you're working on. Um, Cooking for me is creating.
Hmm.
Cook a
I
beautiful
love doing that. Yep.
and plate your food when you're finished cooking. Plate your food and make it look creative and pleasing to you. What about you? Do you have any like little creative?
Oh man, yes. So, um, I live for that time after work is done and before I go to bed for specifically creative endeavors.
There you
Um,
go.
we have a living room full of instruments, and some of them I play well, and some of them I don't play very well at all. Um, but it's the idea of like, hey, let's sit down and let's create a little tune. Or one of my favorite things to do is play along with YouTube's music. So pick a few favorite songs on YouTube and play along with them. Um,
There you
yeah,
go.
yep. My kid has a jewelry business. He makes resin jewelry, and so sometimes we sit down and we pull out all the stuff. We create together. So
Oh, that's so fun. I really do love creating objects.
yep.
The bad thing is I create objects and then I have a big pile of objects.
Well, he sells his stuff, so
I
we
know
get rid
he
of it.
sells it and that's good. I'm just saying, um, I'm just saying that I would just wind up with shelves, like my crystal habit,
Right.
which all of my crystals are coming home this week.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know
that's a
where I'm gonna
story
put
all its
them.
own.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna put them all, but I'll come up with something. Anyway,
Shelves,
I
more
mean,
shelves.
I think it's funny because that'll be a conversation we can have about crystals because people are always asking about, well, if crystals are so energetic, how can you go into a crystal store without being affected by all that energy? But
And you're like, actually, I
it's
am affected.
it's no, actually, it's easy. I mean,
Oh, I see.
you I mean, I mean, I can turn it.
Ah,
I think you can't
yeah, I can see
really
it. That's
see,
cool.
but you can,
Yep, very
like,
nice.
and that is a drop in the bucket.
Hmm.
There's more right there on another little shelf, and that's not even the big stuff. Like
The
the
big
big,
stuff is in its own home.
well, it's not here yet. I got to bring it home, so it's in my space, but I'm closing it down. Anyway, okay, moving on to. I'm excited about this because I like this. I love the way that we call this multi-dimensional mischief,
Ooh,
right? Like,
count me in.
right? Like, I mean, this is those things that we talk about. You can't make this stuff up, or what have you. But I guess I was talking about the idea of multidimensional mischief because, like, crystals are very, very famous for disappearing,
Hmm.
and then they're also famous for reappearing. But I remember even years ago, before I was ever even on this journey, my husband and I would notice like something would go missing and then it would return. Like
Somewhere where you didn't
he'd look
expect it.
somewhere, I'd look somewhere, we'd look at the same spot a million times, not there, and then all of a sudden, there it is. So we came up with this, and you know how I feel about these things. You don't do it twice because there's two, you do it once. Unless you go like this, then it's twice. But anyway, you know how my head works.
Indeed, can't go
L
in the outdoor.
L O no, I can't. LOST, lost, located outside space and time. LOST.
That's
Um,
good.
I know,
That's
right?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's those things. Have you ever had something like that disappear like that on you?
Yes. Yes. It was the weirdest thing. So, I lived in another country for a few years, And in order to get from where I lived into town, I took the bus, right? And so I was standing at the bus stop one time and looking, just kind of looking around, waiting for the bus, pre-cell phone. So
Of
we
course.
didn't have phones to browse through. We just kind of sat there, and wait for the bus. And there was a sign there, like a bus stop sign.
Okay.
And I happened to notice it, just for whatever reason. It got on the bus and went into town. A few days later, I went back to the same bus stop, and I was like, wait a second. There was a sign right here, and but it was gone. And there wasn't a place where, like, because it had been like mounted in the concrete,
Yeah, right,
right?
right.
There wasn't a place where it was like sawn off or like dug out or like removed and then patched over. It was just like it was like it had never been there. And I'm like, this, like, I know there was a sign there. I know there was a sign there. And I'm like thinking, like, am I crazy? So, bus shows up, I get in and I leave and I go into town. And then a couple of days later, I'm back up there and it's back.
I mean, I did see that coming, but it
I, but
tickled me.
I to this day don't know what happened to that sign. I knew where it was. It was there every day, and then it wasn't there a day, and then it was back. So
Well, I
I'm
mean,
the only thing I can think of is some multi-dimensional mischief.
it kind of really has to be, right? Like
I don't have another
something.
explanation other than that I'm like off my rocker.
Well, I mean, I think that people, who are in any way energetically sensitive, have the awareness the sign was there, then it wasn't. Maybe people who aren't necessarily so energetically aware didn't even notice that the
Yeah,
sign was there in the
yeah,
first place.
yeah.
You know what I
And that
mean?
was around
So,
the time I was starting my kind of woo-woo journey. And so maybe it was just a little like, here, have I got something to show you, buddy?
right, exactly. So, I mean, there's so many examples of this, like crystals disappearing or, objects disappearing. Um, or things like this. I think maybe it's not mischief, but I will never forget one time I was uh I was driving and I turned the corner and I needed to turn around. So I pulled into a driveway to turn around and as I was backing out, my car died.
Hmm,
Like I've been driving, it was a stick, but I've been driving it forever. I never killed the car,
right.
but the car died. And as I was sitting, getting the car started back up, around the corner, I was like in the first driveway from the corner. Around the corner comes barreling this ComEd truck, giant ComEd truck,
Mhm.
which if I would have been backing out where I was, he probably would have hit me.
Oh,
So the
wow.
car died and I didn't get hit. Like to me, that's somebody looking out for me.
Yeah.
And then the other one that was really something was I had a car that had the brakes worked on a few times, and apparently they weren't fixed, and the brakes failed. I was driving down the road, the brakes failed, and I was in the center, in the middle lane,
Yep.
closest to the center line, and I felt the brakes fail. Somehow, I managed to go through cars, get into this lane, onto the side, like the sidewalk,
Yep.
which turned out it was on a hill like this, and crashed the car into a telephone pole without hitting anyone. I turned my head after the airbag went off, and I was looking at sidewalk, not at sky, at sidewalk, which is straight down, right?
Yep.
Car didn't flip. We didn't fall out. I didn't hit another car. Nothing happened except, of course, the damage from the telephone pole.
Right.
The brakes failed. Nobody was hurt. Nothing was damaged but the car.
Wow.
impossible
Yeah,
without some kind of.
right.
Oh yeah, and there's another one too. This is one more, and I have always set the intention I never, ever, ever, ever want to hit an animal. I just don't think I could live with it.
Yep.
So I was driving down a road which was like 45, 50, and on the side of the road of that road there was a, for Illinois it was a hill, okay? I mean, maybe you people that come from Colorado would not think of this as a hill, but for here it was a hill. And I saw as I'm driving down the road deer, like 5 of them,
Mm.
running down the hill towards the road.
Uh-oh.
And as I got close, those deer got down towards the bottom of that hill and took a sharp right and ran alongside the road.
Oh, wow.
Now tell me that wasn't someone looking out for me
Yeah,
and making that, they were heading straight for the road.
right,
Why would
right.
they run
You were
down and
seeing collision.
exactly. And with a bunch of them, not just one. So, I mean, I don't know. In
Yeah.
my mind, I think that's multi-dimensional mischief or assistance or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So, um, see, she's Coventina says her friend lost her earring. She asked the fairies was it was, and she heard in her bra. She had already looked, and I said, "Look again," and there it was. See, I mean, it just can happen. So, some common examples of these things are like items disappearing and reappearing, conversations remembered differently between more than one person. I wonder if that's not, more to the point paying attention.
Mm, possibly, yeah.
Possible. But time dilation or missing time, missing moments, dreams that come true. How about random sounds or whispers with no source? I got one on that one too. Deja vu. Have you had? I haven't had deja vu in forever, but I used to get it all the time. What about
Yeah, I
you?
used to get it all the time too. I'm trying to think when was the last time I had something like that. I think that was a lot more when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think I got more deja vu before I started. Um, what shall we say? Aligning with the matrix.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
Yep.
becoming more aware of my energy. Cosmic level synchronicities. I mean, we see this kind of mischief in the cards all the time, right?
Mhm. That's
When
true.
we're doing readings, like
Oh, yeah.
like to me, a perfect example of cosmic or multidimensional mischief is when you take and do a reading and ask the same question over and over again, get the same answer until the end, when you finally get an answer that's just ridiculous,
Right.
like
Or it's
doesn't
like
even
the
fit or
Tower of the
work
Devil
or
and
whatever.
the
Right.
Tower of the Devil and the 3 of Hearts or
Yeah,
the
right.
Swords. And you're like, "Okay, very funny, guys."
I mean, you have to look at it that way. Like
Right,
like the cards are just telling you, look, we've tried
right.
to tell you. So if you don't want to believe us, then we're just going to give you, gobbledygook.
Silliness.
At
Yep.
this point, it's garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I think that falls into that same category, right?
I
Like,
agree. And it's a little bit mischievous. You know what? You know what? Now that you mention that, I got a deck and it was like a Japanese animation manga style deck.
oh, cool.
It was really cool. It was one of my favorite decks. It still is one of my favorite decks. But the first like 3 weeks of readings that I did of that were really feisty. Like
Ah,
Ten of Swords and Towers and Nine of Swords and like all these readings were absolutely crazy. And I just kept working with it. And a friend of mine who was we met together a lot just to kind of look at tarot readings. And she said, I bet it's gonna I bet it's gonna tone down after a little while. And I said, probably right. Let's see. And sure enough, after, I think after 2 or 3 weeks, it just toned down and became normal readings. But the first, yeah, 2 or 3 weeks were really
so
feisty.
here's what I'm hearing as you're saying that, and I'm just wondering, like just asking the question, what method do you use for clearing the deck when you get a new one?
At the time, that was unknown to me.
Interesting, right? Think
Right.
about that for a second.
Yeah.
So, if in fact at the time that was unknown to you, I used to on that. It's paper and ink. Like,
Yep.
give me a break.
Right.
But especially if it was Japanese deck, and it might even have been created and made, printed somewhere in China or
Yep.
Japan.
Yep.
Think about the process. First of all, they're not famous for treating people that work in their factories very well
True.
in Asia. They're just not.
Yep.
And then you have all the travel it would take to get here. Like, so all of the intentions and energies that it could have picked up on its way from wherever it originated
A little
to you,
feisty. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And then because you don't have an awareness of clearing the deck, which is no big deal, a lot of people don't, you get these feisty things. But then this also to me speaks to the idea that as you use a deck, right, it begins to adapt to your energy.
Yeah.
And now, as you're using the deck and getting these feisty readings, because a lot of people would start out with those feisty readings and say, oh my God, there's something evil about this deck and I don't want it. But
Right.
you, being who you are, said,
Yep.
whoa, wait a minute, that's interesting. But, let's keep trying,
Yeah. Let's
right?
keep using it. Let's do another
Let's
reading
keep
for someone
using it.
else. Yep.
And I bet if you had like uh, I don't know, what would you call it, a log or a journal or a
Yeah. I
diary.
didn't journal it, unfortunately.
No, right? But if you did, of the readings that you got, you would actually see a progression. Really feisty when you first got it and toning itself down
Yeah.
before it finally just kind of settled into your energy.
That's the
And
best explanation I've ever heard of why that was.
I
That's
think, I think, I mean, I really think it's really fascinating. And I also wonder if some decks are more susceptible to not only, picking up energy on their way, but like if there's a lot of people that put their decks out in the full moon, and I'm not
yep.
entirely sure uh where I fit in the thought process on that. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I like moon charged crystals, don't get me wrong.
Uh-huh.
I believe in the power of the moon, but what are the cards going to do? But I wonder if there aren't some decks, like maybe that one would be more susceptible to the moon energy than
I
another deck.
wonder. I still have it. I mean, it's right up on my shelf, right over there.
See,
I'm
maybe.
next full moon, which is in about 3 weeks.
I mean, it would just be interesting. Maybe if you did an exercise like did a reading with it for a week or something to see what it's like, and then do something, like some kind of a controlled thing where you do some kind of
Right.
similar
Do a
reading
test.
for the week leading up to the moon and then the week after the moon, and just kind of see if you can see any kind of a progression
Oh,
or
that's a good idea.
big
Yeah,
difference.
I'm gonna
I mean, it would be a fun experiment, right? A fun
absolutely. I'd be all about
case
that.
study to do. I mean, I love the idea of playing in the energy and figuring out where the energy goes and how it flies and how it
Yeah.
circulates and the impact it has. So I have a little list of like possibilities for some of these some of these things that are happening, and I think some of them are kind of interesting.
Okay.
Um, Timeline overlaps or slips. I, you know, I have heard it said that we exist at any one given moment on at least 10 different timelines.
Hmm.
Um, and because we're all aware, well, I don't know. I mean, I've said it on the show before, but Matthew is me,
Hmm.
right? He's just in a different dimension,
Yep.
which is weird. But, if you think about an energetic being, me, not me as a human, but me as an energetic being, that's who he is, right?
Yep.
So that makes sense to me. Like maybe those timelines do some kind of a Brady loopy thing once in a while, and these things that happen that are so weird are in an intersection someplace,
Yeah. Yep.
or past life bleed through. Then there's dimensional portals and thin veils, which I wonder if some of these things don't happen more. Do I actually believe that the veil thins on Halloween? I do, because the collective consciousness does, right?
Hmm. Right.
I think that you can poke through the veil at any point in time, But I think because so many people believe the veil is thin around Halloween and Dia de Dia de lo oh my God, why can't I get it out? You know, the Day of the Dead,
Yeah.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yes.
Um, I think so many people believe the veil is thin. Then the veil is thin, right?
Yep.
Um, but I mean, soul contracts triggering moments, like things you decided to experience, just triggering situations.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's your guides, teachers, or angels, pushing you or protecting you, keeping you out of harm's way for a moment because you were doing something, out of character or whatever. Or even this one that was brought up is like trickster energy. And I do believe that a lot of our guides, teachers, and angels do have a bit of a sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So, I mean, it's just really interesting to think about. And then, we say all the time, you just can't make this stuff up. I mean,
Yeah.
I am in, everybody knows, I'm in Bradley Valentine's group, I'm in Dougal Fraser's group, and you hear these examples all the time,
Hmm.
or you know what, Cledons, right? In readings, Cledons,
Oh, yes.
when
Yeah.
you are sitting in a room, this is why I show up for, like, for example, Radley Valentine's readings when he's been doing quite a few, like, on Facebook Live lately for free for people.
Right.
But I also attend the ones, that I'm
Just
entitled
for the
to
group.
because
Yeah.
I'm in his program. Um, but when you sit there and there's 100 or 200 people and he's going to read for seven, or you know what I mean, there's not really the chances are lower that you're going to actually get
Get
chosen,
chosen.
right?
Yep.
Especially if you can't find the Zoom raise your hand thing. Um, but if you sit and listen to the cards, to the questions the people are asking, and the cards he's pulling for them, you get so much information. You're like, whoa, he
That's for
it
me
happens
too.
all the time. That's for me too. It's
Yep.
for and and I've actually seen it where I've been working on something or thinking about something or trying to figure something out. And if I listen to four or five of them in a row, this advice, this, and this, and you put that all together, and I'm like, oh,
That's the
well, that's
solution.
exactly what I need to do.
Yeah. I know. I know.
You can't make that
That,
stuff
that
up.
stuff is so good. I love that.
So, I mean, you know, I know that there's a lot of people that would like to make physical, explanations or scientific explanations. And I'm sure there are some for some of these things, but I have never in my life been more sure that I know I am very well aware that my idea of who is assisting me on the other side is very different from that of a lot of people.
Right. Okay.
And I'm very open to, I think everybody should be allowed to believe what they want to believe when it comes to that, because whether it's like me and I believe it's, like this whole group of guides, teachers, and angels, or it's like someone else who believes it's one God,
Hmm.
it's all the same energy. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's one God taking on all of the roles of the archangels and the people that I work. It's the same. Um, I have never been more sure of the existence of that
Hmm.
in my life than I am now. I
Right.
don't
Right.
for a minute believe that there is a beginning, a middle, and an end here on earth, and that's it. I don't believe it. I don't believe in the human construct of, the good place and the bad place,
Right.
or
Right.
however you
Yep.
want to call it.
Yep.
But I also believe that there are enough people that believe in that kind of a situation that there's something to it, right? But I do believe that closer to it is are those people who say, well, this is hell here. It's hell is
Right.
here,
Yep. Yeah.
right? And the truth is, if you are an energetic being who's accustomed to being a part of the whole, then maybe you're just not a person who can handle being on your own, and that would make being human hell, if you will, right?
Okay.
If you
Hmm.
I mean, if you think about it,
Yep.
it,
Right.
it it's actually kind of brilliant. It just came to me this very minute.
That's neat.
Um, thank you, all of you. But anyway,
One of my favorite quotes is that people are not punished for their sins, that is going to hell. They're punished by their sins,
yeah, right.
meaning things you've done here are causing your own difficulties, and that's the hell you experience.
That's exactly what I think. And I believe I've always said that it's been backwards. What you do in this life doesn't set you up for the afterlife. What you do when you're an energetic being is make the choices and decisions that will speak
Set
to
you up.
how you set you up for how you experience being human with
Oh,
edges.
cool. You know
I
what? I've
think
heard both of those things, but I never heard it like you just said. Hey, we've got it
flip
backwards.
it.
That's
Yeah, just
yeah,
flip
that's
it. That's
cool.
all. I mean, it gives people a lot of power, though, right? It gives people the idea of that gives people a lot of power, and then
Mhm.
that removes some control from the organization.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, Coventina's got a really good comment on this.
All different beliefs are like a spoke to the center of the wheel. Whatever spoke you resonate with most is your path to your center. Yeah, 100%. But I also believe that you can change your mind.
Right. You can change your vibration or change your
It's not right. It's not written in stone.
yeah.
Um so, but if you find your spoke from beginning to the center and that's the one you walk on and that's okay too. Like
Mhm.
the idea is that you came here to experience being human and all that entails. And whatever that experience is that you have is perfect. And then you're going to go back to the other side. See, she changed so
Yep.
many times until she finally found it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. It's really interesting because I use the wheel in energy sessions.
Mm.
Um, Actually, I do a really cool wheel energy session, but I digress. I keep forgetting about the wheel. The wheel's amazing, but the point is lost. It's gone now. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's why I shouldn't look at the comments while because I'm on a channeling train, right? And then if I
Right.
use my brain and look
It
at
cuts
that,
off the
then
channel.
then my ego takes back over and I lose it. So, oh, I never heard that before either. That was a good explanation. All
Yes.
right then. Anyway, so what are we looking at here? I mean, really, we are just about at our. Hey, you want to draw a card like for the end?
I would love to do that. In fact, I meant to do
So,
that earlier today. And
and let's do that. And I'm real quick. And I am not like affiliated or any such thing, but today I pulled out this book that I've had for a little bit, Fairy Whispering 111
hmm.
by Karen Kay. We actually met her in a Radley group on a Radley Zoom.
Ooh,
And this book is loaded with 111 exercises and meditations and things you can do to connect with the fairy realm.
cool.
And it goes all the way from, like basically energy balancing and visiting with the fairies and journeying and having fun and manifesting, like all the way through 111 different things that you can do to work with the fairies. I did one earlier today with a client and it was amazing.
Cool.
So, again, not affiliated, but Karen K. It's available on Amazon, and right now it's 5% off or something. So I think it's like $13.
Nice.
Fairy Whispering 111. Um, and I'm gonna figure out some way to integrate some of these things into something I do. I haven't quite figured out what it is yet, but I know a lot of people that want to connect with the fairy realm, myself included. And I found out that Oz has its roots in the fairy realm. Ah, it was amazing. I told
That's
you it was
cool.
so good.
Huh.
Anyway, so that's that. Now I'm going to get my deck out. Are we just general information for the What did
for
you
the room.
ask when you
Yes,
shuffled? When you shuffled?
I did pull one from my Lightseers Tarot deck by Chris Ann. I could pull another one from the
No, no.
Hidden.
I just want to know what you asked, so I pull the right thing to go
Okay,
with it.
yep, I pulled
Was it?
Lightseers Tarot.
But I mean, did you? Is it just general guidance for
Well,
the group?
yes, the question is, what do we need to know going forward in order to be able to be creative in our energy?
There you go. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Perfect. Okay, so you give your card, and I'll give mine as soon as after you're done.
All right. So I got one of my favorite cards. This is the Temperance card. Temperance is the major arcana in the major arcana.
Okay.
And what this card in the traditional view is the character on the card is pouring between two glasses or two cups. And temperance is the mixing of two things. And in my case, that means mixing my left brain sciencey stuff and my right brain creative and heart stuff together.
Your muggle brain with your etheric brain.
Yes. And by mixing the two, I have the best possible kind of creativity.
There you go. And that is the truth, right? I mean,
Yep.
because it's right in the middle, like where they all combine and come together.
It's your skills and your inspiration that mix together to produce a
And how
creative
much
work.
better could it be than that?
Yeah.
Okay, and I have Let It Go. I
All
love
right.
this card because this is one of the cards where Archangel Michael in this deck is represented as a woman. So I think that's pretty cool.
Love
But
it.
let it go. So if the situation no longer serves you, allow me to sever your energetic connections to the past so you can embrace the future. So in this case, as it relates to creativity, ask Archangel Michael and allow Archangel Michael to sever your connections to your perfectionism
Mm.
and to those things that would limit your creativity, whatever they may be
Yep.
in your own
Fear.
individual case. Um, for some of us, it is perfectionism. Some of us, it's imposter syndrome. Ask Archangel Michael to work with you to sever your connections to those things
Mm.
and take some time. I mean, we're coming into spring. This
Yeah.
is a great time to go out in nature, and pick up leaves and flowers and acorns and things and just lay them out on a table and arrange them and take some photos or do something that can really, just get those creative juices
Yeah.
flowing for you.
Sounds wonderful.
I know, right? And it will
Yeah.
help you no matter what you're doing for the rest of the day.
I love that.
So that is that. Um, Thank you again for joining us, really. And if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Our most loyal listener was back with us this week, which was amazing, and
Woo-hoo.
we appreciate you showing up. Let's see, what else? Anything? We're
Mm.
going to continue the Joy Initiative until December, like we said,
Yep. We
and
probably have some events coming up where we're going to be hosting something fun coming up.
yeah, I look for for May to really be a
Yeah.
time for creating those kind of things and coming
Love
up
it.
with some stuff.
Yep. Should we
So,
give our audience a high five?
and yes, and we love you too, bunches. Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, everybody. We see you. We love you. We've got you. High
Yep.
five.
High five.
Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.